Can I go first?
Jackie's running the meeting here,
Okay.
so.
Oh, okay.
So we have a remote mic for you.
Oh,
So
okay.
just turn it on. Let you have
Oh, okay.
the meeting started.
To use it? Can I talk loud enough?
You can talk loud enough.
I usually
Either way.
talk pretty loud. Oops.
You can sing in it too.
I can sing it.
Just trying to get the recording to start.
All right, it's going.
Okay.
We're live.
See, what's that?
Yep, that's going.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. We're going to call this meeting to order. So we're going to start with Stephanie from Al's Nursery. Come on.
Should I stand there or should I stand up here?
Joe.
It doesn't matter.
Do I have to use the mic?
Talk loud.
Really loud? Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm from Alpine Garden down off of 44th and Pierce. And I'm going to talk to you about plants, more or less vegetables. But on that back table, I have a few cool items. I have a zero-scape perennials. That means once they're established, they don't need very much watering. So that's kind of nice for our climate. Perennials will come back every year. So you basically plant it once and then forget about it, is what zero-scape plants are. And then annuals, you plant annually, but they'll flower all summer long. Also back there on the table, I have a kind of a guideline for your vegetable garden, how to plant stuff. The first line is seeding inside your house, seeds into seedlings, and then planting them into your garden, and each column is month. So like for this month, what you can do cucumbers, tomatoes eventually when we get over our frost. But that's about mid-May. But like now you can do onions, anything that you're gonna eat that's root, potatoes, onions, carrots, radishes, and then any like leafy greens, lettuce, spinach, stuff like that, until we get our frosts. Usually about Mother's Day is what we tell everyone in the middle of May. I don't plant my garden until first of June, so you have plenty of time to plant. It's just I sell out of a lot of stuff before the end of June, so sometimes you have to shop before then. So there's a tomato. There's indeterminate and determinate tomatoes. Indeterminate will continuously grow while producing fruit sporadically over the summer. A determinate gets about as tall as a tomato cage, stops growing, bears all at once. So if you have a small place or patio, sometimes determinates are better. If you like a can, determinates are better. I plant both, so I have fruit, a lot to work with if I want to can or do something with them, and then I'll have fruit all summer long. So it's up to you. But tomatoes, usually I suggest planting them 4 fingers deeper than what they are in the container. All that will become root. So it helps with the. And then another tip with tomatoes is if you notice once they're established, if they're wilty in the hot of the evening or the day, they'll run out of water. If they seem to perk out of the wilt, then leave it. If they don't perk out of the wilt by the evening, go ahead and water it. Once my tomatoes are established, I water once a week on my tomatoes. Too much water and too much fertilizer will make your tomato turn too green and not produce fruit. A stress between waterings will bring your fruit on faster. So let up on your tomatoes. But your peppers, eggplant, usually about once every couple days on that. And then this is asparagus that you eat. You're going to have to dig a trench about 12 inches deep, shovel wide, and then just bury each of these. There's 5 in there, so spread them out. Bury them up to the crown, and as they get taller or as new sprouts come, you cover them up every couple of inches. Can't bury asparagus all at once. They will smother and die. So you have to slowly bury them. About 2 months. The slower you bury them, the better chance you get them to winter over. They also like a well-drained soil, so sometimes adding sand to it will help them drain out better. Don't put them by a downspout. We put them by a downspout and we thought that was a lot of moisture, but they sat in it and rotted because it was too much moisture. So they like the moisture, but they don't want to take the moisture.
So when are you gonna be able to eat?
Only in the spring.
So the next year?
So the next year, once you're finished planting, you can eat asparagus after that. And then from years and years, they'll get bigger and bigger.
Can you cut that?
Yeah, so say like this is the dirt level, here comes your asparagus, you're gonna go underground to cut it. The more you get underground, that's why it's to bury them so deep. Because if you bury them shallow, you won't get nice asparagus. The more that's underground, the more tender they'll be. That's why it's so deep with asparagus. This is a grape. The more grapes around this area are grafted onto a wild root that will stand our winter. So this is the graft. I don't know if you see there's a long, and then there's a joint. You need to make sure that that is 2 inches underground or it will not come back. So you can't plant it like that. You have to plant it this way. And they're all grafted differently. Grapes will spread 6 to 9 feet. I have grapes that are over 40 years old, so they're pretty well established. You never water them, so they're very drought tolerant. They're great to cover privacy fence, but they're not very fast. But at least you get fruit once they are established. And then I have a potato. So this is a potato. I don't know if you can see, but there's eyes all over it. You're supposed to cut it all up, then let it skin over for a day or 2. And then, or a container, or I've seen, a fabric thing where you can supposedly reach in and harvest your potatoes before they're done. But I don't carry them. I've seen them at Hector's and some of the bigger nurseries. But just cut it up, as long as there's a 2-ounce potato around each eye. So like this one, you can cut it probably 4 or 5 times. Then plant it in a hole. I don't know, yeah, like that deep. And then as it grows, you mound dirt over it. I use straight compost. Sometimes if you use too heavy of a soil, they'll just mat and won't get big. But if you use like straight compost, looser soil, you'll get big potatoes like this. Yeah.
So is that a potato from nursery or from?
It's an actual potato that is dug out of Colorado, but no, I do not propagate my own potatoes. But it is for our nursery. Don't ever plant a potato from the grocery store because usually they're not for our climate and season, and so you might not ever get potatoes if you plant a potato. Like say it starts sprouting under your sink. Oh, I'm gonna plant that out. Don't plant it out.
So you get the vine, potato vine out
No, that's something different. Sweet potato vine is a ornamental. They call it sweet potato vine. You don't get sweet potatoes from them. I've had people where they eat them and they tell me that they're just not flavorful. So sweet potato vine potatoes, but they well make potatoes. I don't know why. I think it's just because they look like a sweet potato. That's the green. I don't know how to explain. I didn't bring them, but they're the green big vines. I see them all the time on 60th Street Mall downtown. If you've ever walked downtown. But no, you will not get pigs. Sweet potatoes, I think you have to start in February, and you have to have like a plant like this or start. And you have to plant them out in February to get sweet potatoes in our climate. Because they're like 180 days. They're really long. So, and then this is strawberries. Strawberries will, the first year you'll get some fruit, but then more and more the next year. And as they grow, they will send out little suckers. And you're supposed to go along and cut off those suckers, because eventually after 4 or 5 years, these will make little, not big strawberries, but little strawberries. So you cut off the suckers from these, and then replant those, and then pull these out. And so that way you can continuously have big strawberries all season or all year, years and years to come. And then this is a currant. It's just a bush. It doesn't get any spread or anything like that, but I have a bush about maybe 4 feet wide or so, 4 by 4. But it makes currants. Currant you can jam, make jams and jelly of. It's not a very desirable fruit. It's kind of sour. So usually jams and stuff like that, we add the fruit that you know is best. And then I have baskets of tomatoes. So these tomatoes were designed for containers. It's a determinate tomato. So we planted them in baskets. And they can stay in this all year long or all season long. Just keep picking the fruit. The more and more you pick your fruit on cherry or these tomatoes, the more they will produce. So just keep picking on them and keep producing them. These are all good for best.
Are those all cherry?
They're all cherry, yeah. But yeah, no, they're designed for baskets. So you can't take like your regular tomato and put it in a basket. These are designed to do that. Any questions? I mean, yes.
When you say you wait till June, early June, to plant those tomato plants, are you talking about plants that have already appeared to?
Like my tomatoes,
Seeds, or do you mean seeds?
plants already started, like this.
Okay.
I won't plant this until June out in my garden. If you plant too early, like if you plant now and your nights are 30s, 40s, you can stunt your fruit production on your tomatoes and your peppers if you plant too early. If they stay in too cold of a climate for too long, you can stunt the growth or the production. Like, say this, I'm just saying it for off, say it's like a 60-day tomato. So as soon as I plant this in my garden, 60 days you should have a tomato from that plant. Plant it and stays in too cool temperatures. I say 45 and lower. For too long, you can stunt it to where it was a 60 day, it's going to be a 90, 80 day tomato. So that's why I wait till June, because the ground is finally warm and we're finally hitting those 50s, 60s at night. If you wait, you will not stunt your plants. Like I had one guy who planted 2 weeks ago his peppers, and he came in yesterday and said, "All my peppers froze." So just be patient and wait to plant most of your vegetables and annuals. Perennials you can put out. Asparagus you can do now. Anything like you eat the root, you can do now. Grapes, they're perennial, so they'll come back every year, fruit-wise. But yeah, mostly like your eggplant, tomatoes, peppers, I would wait till Mother's Day or in 1st of June. I'm just so busy, sometimes I can't get till 1st of June. But yeah, we usually wait until we're 45 and higher at night. Or steady. Yeah.
If you don't harvest all your potatoes and leave some in the ground, they grow next year.
Yes, but I've heard that they don't produce as heavy. So where, like I did a Yukon right here. I got about, I don't know, I'm gonna say a bucket full per one potato.
Really?
Yeah. And then the next year, I forgot to dig them up. And then I saw them coming up, and I was like, yeah, I'll just leave it. I got 4 out of that one. So it's always best for your potatoes to start with a new seed potato. If you dig up your potatoes in the fall and then stored them and then replanted those, that's fine. But if they stayed in the ground over winter, I would dig them up. Something about in the ground being frozen, they just don't harvest as well as the following years.
And how close together do you put the stalks?
Potatoes you can do, about 2 foot, because they're gonna get as big as a tomato. Tomatoes get about 2 foot. But yeah, potato I do about 2 foot apart, and then leave about 2 foot to walk by. Tomatoes, I would do the same thing. Eggplant and peppers, you can do about a foot apart. You can put them in really close. I actually step, and then I plant my pepper, and then I'll step over my pepper, and then I'll plant another pepper. So I actually do a pretty good spread with your peppers. It's eggplant.
So when did you start the seeds to have all these plants?
My perennials I started in the week of Thanksgiving. My tomatoes I started in February. Seasons. But I have a natural light. You can start your own stuff, but I would say wait more, probably April, mid-April to end of April to start like your peppers and that kind of stuff. It's just, I have a lot of light. If you start too early in your house, they get spindly, and then when you plant them out, they sometimes will die because they're not used to being in a window. Sunlight. Unless you have a grow light or something like that, then you can get away with seeding earlier, but yeah, I started these in February. And then the more bigger pot you put it in, usually tomatoes will get bigger as you upgrade them. If you want to buy early, you upgrade them until you can put them out. And we have a lot of people with hobby greenhouses that will buy this and then put it in something like this. By May or Mother's Day when they put it out, they usually have a tomato like that. So the more room you give them, the bigger they will grow. Like this, I'll keep this in here until, I would say around mid-June, you need to start having your stuff in the ground, like tomatoes and stuff like that. You need to be in the ground by mid-June.
So tell us about, you brought some.
Oh, I brought some perennials back there. I brought eggplant, peppers, heirloom tomatoes, that's what this is. And then I have strawberries to sell, petunias, pansies, and then other semi-annuals that I have for sale. These are 99 cents, and then all my other box plants are $2 each. $2.59, but I'm doing them for $2. Just so I don't have to go change. Great, thank you. Thank you.
Next, we have Joel Noble from Vision Zero.
Good evening. My name is Joel Noble. I'm with the Neighborhood Cooperation, which is an association of all the neighborhood organizations in the city. For the past 5 years, I've been the co-chair of our transportation committee. And about a year ago, Neighborhood Cooperation, along with Walk Denver, Bike Denver, and several other organizations, said, what are the best-in-class cities doing about one of our biggest problems, and that is people getting hurt on our roads, dying in serious bodily injury on the roads. And what we found is there's a movement called Vision Zero that started in Sweden in the 1990s. I think this might be a little too boundaries. It started in the 1990s. It's been very successful as a way to try to intervene in changing the way our roads work to get traffic fatalities and serious injuries down to zero. So shortly after we started talking about this and talking with people in the city, we convinced Mayor Hancock to officially commit Denver to being a Vision Zero city, to do a Vision Zero action plan. So I'll talk a little bit about what this is about. But first, what's the situation? Last year, just calendar year 2016, in the city and county of Denver, not even the metro area, city and county people were killed in traffic crashes on our streets. That includes 27 people who were biking and walking, even though we know in terms of the mode share, that is what ways people choose to go around, biking and walking only accounts for 5% of how people commute. Nevertheless, biking and walking are very vulnerable. And other crashes, car versus car, people get hurt quite a bit. 61 people dying, and we don't have the data on how many serious injuries. Of course, it's hundreds. This really isn't acceptable. Our neighbors don't deserve to risk their lives just trying to get around the city. And that's the fundamental question we're trying to answer is, what can we do? How can we be proactive and not just hope that we'll make it? So the Vision Zero Coalition, this is an event we've had for, I think, 3 years now. We get together for Valentine's Day and go meet the mayor on the steps of the city and county building to say, here's our ask to this year. Here's what we're requesting the city focus on to get us to this Vision Zero goal this year. And I mentioned some of our members walk Denver, bike Denver, bicycle Colorado, Transit Alliance, Internet Cooperation, and the Pedestrian Advisory Committee and Bicycle Advisory Committee of the city. So to guide us, what I've handed out, and the lighting's a little dim, the print is a little small, so just take it with you. There are 10 key principles, and I'm going to go over our guiding principles here. The first principle is that our goal is zero, and that's a bold goal. Some people say, do you think you would really get to zero? And the answer is, what goal would you like? How many people should die or be seriously injured on our roads just trying to get around? Of course, the only goal is zero. The other thing, one thing you'll see with people who think about this, we talk about this a lot, is we try to unlearn the practice we have in our society of saying accidents. They might be, they might not be. But by saying accident, we give ourselves as a society an excuse to say, that happens. There's nothing we can do about it. There certainly is something we can do about it, and many things we can do about it. So we try to be very precise and say that there was a crash. It's objectively true. Next principle here is life is most important. There's a lot of competing priorities. We're all trying to get around. Bikers are trying to bike, walkers are trying to walk, people are trying to drive. Everyone has the things they're trying to do. But we believe, when considered among everything else, life is the most important. Getting somewhere a couple minutes sooner is not important, it's more important than somebody's life. This picture, by the way, is from Brooklyn, New York, where they've had a Vision Zero program for a while. One community in Brooklyn painted murals. This is one of the murals. Crashes are preventable, slow down, your choices matter. And you have the scales weighing people's lives versus cars. It's a very, very dramatic moment. The third principle, everyone has the right to be safe on the street. The streets are for everybody. Everyone matters. Whether you're 8 or 80, the streets are public realm. Next, government is responsible for safe street design. Streets don't just happen. We didn't wake up one day and there was what we have, and it's unchanging and unchanging. It represents us and provides the basic services necessary to operate in society, and the streets and the whole right of way are one of them. So here we have one of the situations that's far too common in Denver, where there is no place for pedestrians. So if you're trying to get around walking or in a wheelchair, you have no choice but to be in the same space. A lot of Vision Zero is trying to reframe the topic of lane. Because too often when we get uncomfortable dealing with the fact that our streets are dangerous, we look for a way to assign blame. We'll see this in newspaper stories. One time, well, the child who was killed yesterday, crossing the street. Well, it was crossing the crosswalk. And it has the feeling of blame. Well, nobody followed the rules. And we say, yes, people make mistakes, but they don't deserve to die. It's the system of choices we give people and the safety inherent in the system that results in the consequences we have. And it's the system that we can improve. if this gentleman was going down the street and was hit, I don't think it'd be his fault. I think it'd be the fault of the system that didn't give him an appropriate place to be. The fifth principle is that people make mistakes. A lot of traffic crash prevention efforts are encouragement efforts. Please be safe, please don't exit drive, please cross the crosswalk, watch out. Those are all good messages. We should not stop giving those messages to our children as they grow up and reminding them. But people are going to make mistakes. We can't wish our way to zero traffic deaths. So people are going to make mistakes. This is typical, this is Colfax. And like a lot of our streets, Federal, a lot of our major streets, if you're going to cross in an appropriate place, you might have to go a mile out of your way, down and back and around. People just aren't going to do that. They might know that they should, but their visibility is good and good right there. People make mistakes. So we have to start making this assumption that people will inevitably make mistakes and have our transportation system be more forgiving when mistakes are made. So the biggest determinant of people's behavior is the design of the streets and the surrounding land uses. To get to our goal of zero traffic fatalities and serious injuries, we have to change the design of our streets so people behave more reasonably. People aren't speeding, people are crossing in reasonable ways, people are looking out for each other. Just look at this concept. This is obviously a very important for Ontario. Lots of things happening. You've got buses prioritized in the middle. You've got places for general traffic, parking, people crossing. But you don't have to cross a huge wide street if you're on foot, for instance. Playing soccer, you're dodging cars. You have places to be that are reasonable all the way across. So if you look down the way, there's another place to cross every block. So you don't have these giant stretches where people have to do the wrong thing. Now, we're not saying that this is the right street design, there's one street design, but it's to illustrate there are things about this design that would lead you to think probably not a lot of people get hurt here. Speeds are probably pretty low. People are probably doing reasonable things here. And just by looking at the design of something, you can get a sense. How fast would I drive here? Where would I walk here? Would I know where to expect the bikes to be coming from here? Design matters. Design matters a lot. On a more minor street, this is Ontario, this is the big throughway, this is just some minor street. So the one thing you can do is change the street so it's not so straight. How fast would you drive through here? There's people living here, there are parked cars, there's people on bikes. If you were driving through here, you would go slow. You would probably go as slow as we wish people went when our kids were driving. Just to illustrate the design matters. Next principle, enforcement cannot correct for dangerous street design. Yes, people do the wrong things. If the police can solve the safety issue, we believe that's incorrect. So for instance, here, you've got people, what do we call this, jaywalking. That was actually a term the automotive industry came up with to blame pedestrians for being where pedestrians had always been as the automobiles gained dominance. But imagine this is a big long curved space. There's no reasonable way to get from who knows what over here, a bus stop, to who knows what over there, to school. So they're going to walk where they're going to walk. How would you correct that safety issue if this is a curved street, people are coming around, they don't have a lot of time to react? Well, you get the police out there and enforce you, you take it, and the work will get out, people will stop and enforce you. What will happen is people will still walk where it seems reasonable to walk to get where they're going. And the people who don't have much money are going to take that ticket and have a hard time paying. And then they'll get fined. And it'll cause a whole other set of problems. If you change the design and and give people a place to stop in the middle and make it clear that they should be walking there, increase the visibility, make it pleasant. The design solves the problem. Another core principle is that in addressing this issue, we can look at where the serious crashes occur and focus our attention. The street right outside of here, probably not a lot of something seriously wrong with the design. The speeds are low, good, the streets are relatively narrow. We can plot where the serious crashes occur. Turn our attention there. So being very particular takes us to places like Colfax, Alameda, Colorado. So the ninth principle, when we drive, we have a critical responsibility. We are controlling a machine that can inflict a serious amount of harm. So drivers do have a critical responsibility to consider the safety of people not traveling by car. Again, this isn't saying blame, it is accepting we have serious responsibility. And then finally, we believe that enhancing our streets to eliminate traffic fatalities and serious injuries will help transform the neighborhood into a truly multimodal city that supports walking, biking, transit, as well as driving, where people will be happier and healthier. This is just a down the Chicken Creek area of a well-designed place where cars interact with pedestrians, all at reasonable speeds. So I said every year we have a focus. This year our focus is safe speeds for Denver. On the back side of the handout, on the front side there's four principles, and on the back side there are two things. One is a reminder about speed. I have this here, good. This is amazing. If you are traveling by foot or on a bike, and you're hit by a vehicle, the vehicle is going 20 miles an hour relative to you, 90% chance of survival. Might be hurt 20 miles an hour, but a 90% chance of surviving. If the vehicle is going 40 miles an hour, we have a 10% chance of survival. We need to think about what safe speeds are and what contextual speeds are. From an neighborhood operations perspective, we have a transportation platform, and in that, we call for measures to reduce speed within neighborhoods. When you get to your neighborhood or when you're leaving your neighborhood, that's not the time when you need to go fast. You know, if you're going to get on the highway and go a long distance, that's the time when the speed is appropriate. When other people are going to your neighborhood through your neighborhood, that's not the time for them to be going fast. So thinking about speed, the importance of speed where people are. So we asked this year, a couple more things about speed. You're probably aware of this, it's kind of intuitive. If you're going 10 to 15 miles an hour, you can kind of take in all the things that are going on. You can take in the different pedestrians, and those ones are going straight, these ones are coming across, those people are on the sidewalk, and you take it all in. When you're going 30, 35 miles an hour, you're kind of focused in the middle. You have some peripheral vision, but you really can't track where all the objects are coming from. That's one of the reasons why speed is an issue, not only the impact, but also the reaction speed and the amount of the field that you can take in really intelligently in order to do something about it is so much less. Another picture that shows design. Imagine both of these, this is very reasonable, as a residential streets are signed for 20 miles an hour. Okay, so that the law is the same. But the top one looks like this. Straight, big field of view, wide street, nothing going on. Ask yourself constantly, how fast you would drive if you were on the top street. Look at the bottom street, signed for 20 miles an hour, but it's not the signage that really tells you how fast you're going to be comfortable going. It's the context. It's narrower, there's parked cars, there's people around, there's buildings. It's a more interesting space. It's more to look at and interact with. But you're also going to drive probably 20, maybe. So design matters quite a bit. So This is our ask this year. You'll see it's at the bottom of the page. It has the sweet fatality shown on it. 3 things we're asking this year. We're asking Denver to commit to implementing an annual program that funds and safe speed projects throughout the city in the 2018 budget. I know it's just the 2nd of May. They're already putting together the 2018 budget. That's how long the cycles take. So that we can go around the city and look at those hot spots and where speed is a key contributor to those crashes that cause serious injury and death. To have money next year to start doing implementation, but this year, start testing the kind of interventions that other cities have done. But we're not yet practicing. See how they work. Do it cheap this year. We don't have a lot of money. You can do some of these things with paint, with bollards, with planters. You don't have to dig up the whole street and redevelop it. So we're asking for residential Main Street and mixed-use street, 2 or more of each, demonstration projects this year. And we can see how the interventions work by watching the data and measuring the speeds. And then next year, based on what we learned this year, adopt formal guidelines. We're not starting from scratch. Most of the larger cities in the US have already been doing vision zero programs, so we can learn from the data. But this is our ask this year. We're going to ask you, if you would, to consider signing a petition saying you would like safe speeds in Denver. If your RNO would like to sign on as well, you can go to Walk Denver's website and sign on. There's a little form to fill out. If you're an organization, just asking you how you'd like to be involved, if you'd like to be notified, and send messages to them about this. And then while that's passing around, I'll just look quickly through a few of the kind of interventions we're talking about. So bulb outs. See, there's 1 traffic lane on the top, but there's still 1 traffic lane at the bottom. We have to narrow the street in terms of the amount of traffic lanes or bike lanes that you go through. And this is replicable if there's more lanes. The concept is the orange area. Bringing it in so people have less distance to cross. And also, from the driver's perspective, visually narrow. Remember that top and bottom picture, how different it was that you were in a narrower space to move in, or it felt like you were in a narrower space. It has a tremendous impact on the speed people actually go. You don't just have to do this, you're not restricted to doing this at the ends of blocks, you can do this in the middle of blocks. And maybe it goes with a pedestrian crossing, or maybe you just do it to get more shade and bring more character to the area, to give more place for pedestrians to be. Driver's perspective, narrows it in, like if you go slower. Speed humps, we don't do this in Denver. It's not really for the walk. Everyone we talk to points to somebody else. Well, the fire department doesn't want to do it, the snow bombers wants to do it. We can't do it because it snows. Adjacent communities do huge. And they don't have to be the big serious bumps that jar your teeth, like in the parking lot and the supermarket. They can be relatively low, well-signed humps, just enough that you don't want to hit it at too high speed. Raised crosswalks are another implementation of that, where you're raising the pedestrian to the same level as the sidewalks. They're not stepping down and stepping up and tripping, and then it has the vertical reflection effect that a hump does. You can raise an entire intersection and make it flat all the way across. So you can take a whole intersection and draw it up to the level of the sidewalk. These are big interventions. These take real money. Some of these. Mini traffic circles. And you're not going to fly too quick down that. Visually, you can see the and the nice thing about these actually is in an area where traffic flow really matters. Traffic flow doesn't stop to get backed up, but it does go at a steady speed. So here's what we're asking you to do. Please consider signing a petition. You can tell others to join. walkdenver.org. The organizations I talked about will join together to form the Vision Zero Coalition, nominated Walk Denver as our spokespeople. Jill Lokenberg will be here talking with you tonight at 7. She had to go to a national conference on Vision Zero, so she's there right now. If your organization would like to provide a letter of support, Walk Denver is collecting those. And if you'd like to be a member of the Vision Zero Coalition as your organization, you can do that as well. Organization. And with that, we have to answer questions.
go to Boulder frequently, and they seem to be ahead of Denver in some of these measures. Do you have any comparable data from Boulder? I mean, I'm wondering proportionally how many fatalities they have. I noticed they do have the stroke crosswalks. I used those. They went on that whole, they went on the whole street. Those are very effective. And they also have the mini roundabouts. But it just seems like they're ahead of Denver. They also have the base pedestrian crosswalks in places. I just wonder, are you coordinating with the city of Boulder, or at least finding the data?
Thank you for asking that. Boulder is ahead of us in some of these things. It's great to have a laboratory you can take city council people up to that's not that far away and say, this isn't that odd, this is very strange. And so we have to do that to some degree. There's also a national organization that's more progressive than the old school traffic engineer organizations like NACTO. And NACTO has some design guidelines that Denver has given itself permission to use as well as the older standard guidelines. So we'd be happy to hear that the push to cross in the middle of a street, they're called hawk signals, there's a few different kinds. They flash, they say pedestrians are coming in. And I think there's going to be 2 or 3 installed. There's 1 installed now just in the past few weeks, and a couple more coming. But you can think of places like NYU University. You know, all the students can walk all the way down around the site to the probably not. But can you give a visual indication to people that are walking? Downtown Boulder, it's like it used to be. They do have raised crosswalks as well, which is it's hard to compare cities in different size and know that you're doing comparably, but they're ahead of us.
Are you also supporting the CDOT, since the state highways, like federal or
Yeah, so the Colorado Department of Transportation, CDOT, which was previously called the Department of Highways, and they still act like it. They own a lot of major streets in Denver, so Colfax and Federal and many other streets you would expect. They are supportive of these efforts. They have their own effort. It's not called Mission Zero, it's called Towards Zero Traffic Deaths. A little bit less bold, let's go towards zero. Let's get in that direction. But they are very supportive of the local municipality, patrolling signals, etc. One of the frustrations, of course, with them is they're on a cycle budget-wise of maintaining their streets. So some of the work people like the road quality, just the service quality in Denver being kind of poor right now. A lot of times we hear about it, it's the paving mean arterials that are CDOT's responsibility. At least I think we're talking. I wish we could just take all the streets from them and let them focus on that place.
Seems like they're focused on widening streets and not making them all. So you would hear on
Yeah, there's a real tension between kind of a city view of things, wanting to move people efficiently on all modes and safely, and the need to use street widening. Denver has something called the strategic transportation plan, and the strategic transportation plan says we do not have street widening as one of our strategies. Because when you widen the street, you just temporarily get a sense of relief congestion until more people choose to go that way, and then turn out to help much anyway. But CDOT's roads are ones where they're widening them and they try. I can't speak for the city of Denver, of course, but the city of Denver tries to get the most multimodal use out of that wider street where we can. But there's no tension, I'll be honest with you. I'm honestly, I shouldn't be choosing which. $1.8 billion really good projects out there. We're picking like $300 to $400 million in transportation projects proposed to the voters to fund this year. And there's a couple of them that are streetwide. And those ones from the year saying that.
I had a couple comments. I think one of the problems with the things that are happening right now is that there's not enough working member not being asked. Where there's not enough working class people who are being invited to meetings, there's not enough, African Americans, Latino, Asian Americans who are being invited. There's this transplant effort that has done no outreach to bus riders. As we are older, one of the things is we have a lot of these maybe broader groups that have pushed for this good pedestrian efforts, but then there's also people who have gone against that. So you have also voters who are doing those two things. So it's not necessarily that what Boulder does is a good thing. They can do certain things that are really good. And usually those things are also things that other people who have other places that have a lot of walking have done also. But yeah, and I think that's one of my concerns is, for example, RTP is actually pretty good about finding good places for bus stops. And we actually have people in the city of Denver pushing to make it more difficult for RTP to put bus stops in the same places. Because they're not talking to the people who actually take those bus stops.
I agree, all of this is pretty complex, which is why we want to focus on support principles in Vision Zero coalition, safety overall, reducing traffic fatalities and serious injuries to zero by all means, and that relates to one of the safe efforts.
I think it also is, it helps to have a lot of pushing for things like this.
One of the it's not strictly speaking the Vision Zero effort, it's really related, is the way sidewalks are done. I don't know if you all are aware of it, but the sidewalk in front of your property, doesn't matter if it's residential or commercial property, it's your responsibility. If it's cracked or deep or whatnot, you've got to fix it. And that's a real burden on people. Because if you try to get contractors to come out and do 25 or 37 or 50 feet worth of sidewalk, you have to wait a lot of money under their nose just to return your call. And it's not efficient for them to mobilize to come out and do a small project, especially when there's so much other work in Denver. So one of the things that the same group of folks is doing, not necessarily the Vision Zero banner, is saying to the city, seriously, we've got to change and have the city be responsible for something. It would be absurd if you were responsible for repaving the street in front of your house. Right? Just that 25 feet worth of street in front of your house, whenever it gets potholes, it's your responsibility. It would be terribly inefficient, terribly expensive, and impossible for people who don't have a lot of money to do. It's the same thing with sidewalks. It costs you thousands of dollars to repair sidewalks. So we've gotten into this really weird space where the lawyers for the city say it's good that it's the responsibility of people adjacent to it, because that way the city doesn't get sued for all hazards. But then city council understands that when a neighbor calls on another neighbor to say, hey, make this person fix their sidewalk because it's heat, they'll come out, they'll inspect, they'll cite, 30 days or something to get somebody to fix it. But the person who lives in that house may not have the money to do that. And nobody would find it. Escalating funds, and how does this get solved? In the same way that street paving is very efficient, because they do a whole section of the city, several blocks at once, and mobilize a team once and repave a whole chunk of the neighborhood at once. We should be doing sidewalks. So it's one of many interlocking topics here. Relates to transit. So many bus stops in the city with just holes stuck in the dirt, and you stand there in the mud. This is not a civilized way, and we'll do better than this. So these issues all.
Yeah, at least it works though, if the city pushes our team to the stop that has an edge, has a shelter, or has amenities, and this is actually happened a couple of times, to place that doesn't. Because then, and that's been the tension. I think that's a tension between different planners who, there's not enough coordination.
So our business, and I'm really glad that you were doing this work. Thank you for bringing us on. And take the principles that you set really possible and kind of get us out of the rut of thinking
I'm a member of IPAC, which is the Mayor's Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and we meet once a month, and every district is represented. And we go through this. I think last time we decided which was an APAC. Yes, we decided on that.
And Impact as a group is a signatory to the coalition that represented with everyone. So thank you.
You, at the beginning of your slides, showed a pie chart with 67 colleagues. Do you know how many of those were alcohol?
The police have that information. I don't have that in the summary information that I have. Certainly that's an issue, but it's not the only issue. Something I'm handing around that just as I close out, and I'll take any more questions, of course, is there's an event we have coming up called Ride and Walk in Silence. This is a national event. We're doing it the first time in Denver. It's going to be very nice. We're going to start downtown, and we're going to ride your bike, or walk, go through in silence to Jesus Park. And then bikes are going to go around Jesus Park a couple of times, walkers are going to walk around, and we go to that nice building, that nice platform in Jesus Park. And we'll just remember people who have in the past year, a few statements, and just confirm our support to each other that we're working on something very important. Any other questions, sir?
And I have a question, but I guess I just be I'm a auto driver and also a bicyclist and also a pedestrian. And I really present a lot of the changes that the slow power traffic now, so really do. Because majority is I go out the streets, and I see, of course, I see so many more damn cars on the road because the city is overpopulation of neighborhoods. And I'm sure they're going to like your proposals because it fits in with the whole city plan. But I'm not happy.
Certainly, thank you for sharing your opinion. It's very common when people drive to get frustrated. You go fast, when you go slow, you go fast, you go slow, you get right back to some road where you get frustrated. One of the things that we're hoping to do by keeping the focus on having fewer people die on roads, which is something that we can all agree on, and understanding that relates to students, is end up with street designs where everybody feels like they're moving at the right pace, and the frustration level should come down quite a bit, because when you're moving at the speed it seems like you should on the road, studies have shown that people's frustration level and is lower, and decision making is better, because they're not trying to hurry up to sprint to the next line, hurry up to sprint to the next line. They're going to the streets. I hope we get involved in design decisions as they come up, but that we can start from a base of agreeing that nobody deserves to die or have their life seriously threatened just trying to move around.
I think there's also something that no one has mentioned, and that is a behavioral problem having to do with cell phones and smartphones. I see people all the time on their phones, both pedestrians in the crosswalk, that character is supposed, and the drivers. And I don't do that. I don't use my cell phone, but I try to drive on the right and concentrate. But it's a behavioral driver that fatalities are there due to this distraction on both the pedestrians and the driver. That's very frustrating.
Yeah, nationwide they were trending down a bit, not dramatically, a bit for several years. That was felt to be largely car-on-car fatalities because our cars are getting better at surrounding us with protective material, airbags, crumple zones, and this kind of thing. It doesn't stop the crash, but if you're in a car, you're more likely to survive. So fatalities with vehicle crashes or the vehicle occupants was trending down. And now all deaths from all folks, people in vehicles and outside of vehicles, are trending back up. And it's thought that distracted, right? This distraction of all sorts is part of that. So the Vision Zero Coalition is not opposed to education, reminder, encouragement campaigns. A couple of years ago, you may have seen the Heads Up campaign. There were some awards, there were some handouts. It was nice. Did it cause much change? Probably not. Not opposed to that. But fundamentally, it's not going to stop the fundamental behaviors. We believe the changing the design of the system is. So rather than saying, what are you going to do if people are being done so, and implicitly almost, we kind of deserve it. We don't believe that. In Australia and New Zealand, there's a fantastic, it's been long running for a couple of decades, very serious, hard-hitting public information campaign about the seriousness of speeding, the seriousness of influence, etc. We can think of something we can Google, or we can put it on YouTube. It's the faster you go, the bigger the mess. We put that in YouTube. The faster you go, the bigger the mess. This is a I think it's New Zealand and UK, their safety councils. When I visited New Zealand in 1990, 2000, just after leaving the airport in Auckland, we were going down the way, driving on one side of the road, all that other anxiety. There were these billboards, and they were pretty great. The television spots that you find on YouTube are, it's not just horror, it's not just blood. These make you think. This is a really good thing. I think that in the whole set of things we need to do as a society to raise our awareness, we've become numb. Do you know how many people died in the U.S.? We said 61 on our streets and neighborhoods in the U.S. 40,000 last year. How many airliners crashed is that the equivalent? But an airline crashes, we hear about it because it's novel. 40,000 people die on our roads, we don't hear about it, it's in the background. We become numb. We have to become numb. Yes, sir.
I was just going to observe a little bit of driver education with the street and this year. And actually, one of the things that bothered me is the U-turns. I thought that those were illegal in most places, but I've seen people make U-turns in the middle of Tennyson Street. Heck, I saw one on my block, did a 3-point turn, drove clear up on the sidewalk and back down the other way. Get a space 2 cars closer on the other side. And I mean, that's dangerous. People are around and they can't see it, they don't expect it.
Yeah, again, we're not at all opposed to education and encouragement, but we think design needs to support the behavior we want to see. And I don't know if sometimes issues and reflecting how you would behave on these several streets. Changing design makes a systemic message. Thank you for listening tonight. I hope you'll sign the petition. It was marked or consider having your organization soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. So we're going to wrap up tonight with the committee updates. And I don't see Paul or Marilyn here for the design and preservation. Liquor license, not seeing Dan either. I know we just got a new one. You guys are going to have to help me out on the streets. It's the new building that they're building on 29th on the north side near Tennyson by the bike shop. Yeah, probably Utica. there's a new liquor license application going through that. So Dan's reaching out to contact them about the Good Neighbor Agreement. So with that, we'll probably have them talk about, we're going to ask them to come to our next meeting, which we'll talk about in a second too. Social Committee, Caitlin, you want to?
Hi, everyone. I'm working on getting some plans and plans signed up in the summer and then moving into the fall. And some new locations and some other ones, and those are things we learned in the past. Keep a lookout on our Facebook page, and then I would imagine in our literature about that next month's meeting for an event at the beginning of June. I'm looking for Thursday, June 1st. I think we have Oxhead Brewery, which is a new location in the mix. They have beer, they have ribs on Thursday evenings. Hopefully some or all of you like those two things. If not, we'll keep an eye out for July. And promise to have a mix of different venues for everyone. But happy to be in this role, and if anyone has any suggestions or places they're trying to try out, or places if you concern about business, shoot me an email. You can find my email on the side of the meeting notifications about.
Great, thanks. So with that, before we get into a couple other items, for the meetings, we typically take the summers off, which would be the next 3 months. So in lieu of that, we will be working on having social events once a month. We actually try to tend to do those on different days. So because there are times, or some people aren't actually able to make Tuesdays on a regular basis. So we'll try to spread those days out a little bit throughout the week to make it more available for everybody. So we'll still announce those through the emails, and it'll be on our websites, Twitter, all that stuff. And so with that is, we will typically just be social events. We may take 5 minutes to talk about any issues going on in the neighborhood, if any actions are needed. Something like the liquor license, we would ask them to come speak just to kind of give you an update on what they're proposing for their new location and whether they're willing to sign our Good Neighbor Agreement and such. But it's generally a good social event, so please attend. Transportation Committee, no new updates. We've been pretty busy in the last little while, but and then Zoning Committee, I see the other half of Ray, but not Ray.
I have no report.
Okay.
I don't think there's any,
Yeah, I think the only thing that's going on right now is some general text amendments with the zoning code that are being processed through, but those have little impact typically to us. So I don't think there's any really hot items that I've heard about either.
not to put you on the spot, but I think this week on Monday, the council approved a modification of the small lot study that allowed, originally it had allowed no parking at all for small lots, but they came to agreement for some parking. I think the first floor is free, but then the subsequent floors, you have to pay parking to build a small lot. If somebody else would be better than I do, fill in, but I know we talked about it, and we sent a letter of support for some more parking in areas where there isn't good public transportation. So I guess that's a good idea.
Great, thanks for sharing. With that, we'll open the floor for non-agenda items. Anybody want to? Oh, so what we are trying up here with all this gadgetry stuff, we are trying to live stream the meetings, not necessarily as much for the video because I think they see my name tag right now, but more for the audio, which we've been trying to do on again, off again, somewhat successful, somewhat unsuccessful, because even tonight, we probably have half the normal attendance, but we actually get a lot of requests for the audio files when they're not up there. So a lot of our members are actually listening at home, so they're not able to make it. So with this, we're trying to do a live feed. Tonight's kind of the first trial run. It's officially live right now, but we didn't let anybody know because we didn't know if it was going to happen or not. But we will post the link as normal, but this will potentially allow people to listen live as well as be immediately available. So if people want to listen to it tonight. So any of those neighbors that you know that aren't able to make it, that is available, and the link will be up on our website soon. Hopefully tonight or tomorrow morning for this one, because it seems to be working. So, Stephanie?
I was just going to comment. I think that I gathered last month I missed this thing about the trash and recycling, but we find that we have hands out in the alley all the time, and people put out recycling every week, and it's only every other week, which gives it a good couple weeks to blow all over the alley. Nobody stores, it seems nobody stores the cans on their property. It just sits out in a big row. The dumpsters were much more attractive. Large item pickups go out whenever they feel like it, with no regard to what date. So I understand that you talked about this before, but I'm wondering if there's any thought of how to communicate with the people who don't attend the meeting.
Yeah, Pat, do you want to comment to that?
Well, Charlotte Pitt with the city would be who you would want to talk to. So I would call 311 and ask for Charlotte Pitt and tell her the issue that you're having. And maybe they can, for your block, they can do a flyer again or do something, kind of mandate better about the rules. That's the direction I might go.
Okay.
Incomes. That's true.
Thank you for that, Pat.
Thanks.
So not only trash, but it's combined with all cars and parking in our alley now, there's all business use for citizens.
Yeah, so I think that would be a call to the non-emergency. Officer Anderson's not here tonight, but I think that's a call to the non-emergency police because that is an infraction. And it gets into life safety because they have to keep those open. So I believe officially they have to be completely off the alley. So most garages only set back 2 feet, some 4. That's not enough to get your car back there. So usually it is an infraction unless their garage is set pretty far off. But it's worth a call. And, Officer Anderson, I don't know if his number's on the back there, but that's definitely something that you could ask him about. As a community service officer, that's part of his role. So he's just not able to make it here tonight. He had a conflict.
I actually called about that issue.
Oh, did you?
Street, and I've actually had a couple times where I have an alley that will go all the way through, so that we make the road and back in. I've actually called the police office, and they were not going to mind that they said they told me to do that to call 311 and they'll patrol, my area of contact this block, because the reason it happened to me is that there were people spraying my alley, and so they see the pictures all in the line for the day down my alley, and then, I get the 5 cars to try and get down out of the alley so I can go. But now I have a problem that they have somebody coming around and they
All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. So yeah, sounds like that is the best course of action. Anything else?
Actually, I wanted to comment on the recycling.
Yes.
A lot of materials from the city are not really very clear. So there is some educational materials that a lot of people are not really clear on what they're supposed to, how to recycle and stuff. The city flyers need to be better. It needs to be more, and it needs to be better access. It needs to be easier to find out the information. So every 2 weeks, okay, what thing, it's sometimes hard for people to find that information. A lot of people I found are mistaken. I know some people who said, like, they thought that they were following the rules, but they weren't. And that can be frustrating.
Definitely. Thanks. So with that, I think we'll,
Woodbury.
oh, sorry. Want to come up and talk about Woodbury?
Hi, everyone. I'm Danny from Woodbury. Coming down here to tell you about our adult program for May. We have one program scheduled on May 20th. It's specifically for adults. We're going to be talking, we're having active minds come down, give a big presentation about 19th century music in America. We're going to be talking about how artists started in back in the day, how they made their money, how they recorded, and how they were able to, be global. So we'd love to have you down, come down, and it's an hour long on Saturday at 2 o'clock. Have some flyers if anybody's interested. I also have some monthly calendar for the whole system. So that's it.
Thanks, Danny. So with that, we'll go ahead and close the meeting, and Stephanie will be in the back if you want to load up on plants. Thank you, everybody.